Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, that is Sahitya Abhyasa Academy. Today I am going to give a class on class on Shelley's defense of poetry. It is the response of Thomas Love Peacock's work, The Four Ages of Poetry. Yes, in that Four Ages of Poetry, he mocked a lot on poetry. Poetry is a useless thing. There is no any sense. There is no any reason. So writing a poetry is just spending a waste of time on that. So this is how made the disrespect on Shelley's. This is how shows the disrespect on the poetry, which felt Shelley to should give the response about the words which is told by the Thomas Love Peacock in his poetry, in his work. So he made a response through the writing of the work, critical work, that is defense of poetry. Yes, I have the words, I have a lines, I have a thoughts which can defend from your critical thoughts on poetry, because he is one of a greatest poet during the romantic era. Yes, fine. Let's begin. Who is known as Shelley? Shelley is nothing but he's a major. What is that? Major English. I should write in a need. He is one of a major English romantic poet, known for his radical, this is very important, radical ideas and lyrical genius. Yes. So then what are the radical here? The radical means it is a very new kind of idea, very new kind of a ideas, kind of a ideas which goes revolutionary way, revolutionary to the roots of things. Okay, somewhat challenging traditional things. That is what called radical ideas. So here we can see he is known for a radical ideas and lyrical genius. Furthermore, what are the radical ideas we can see in the his work means, first he fought for the political freedom and revolution. We can see how he means during French revolutions, he supported to French revolution. There we can see the political freedom must be give to the French people, because their government is ruling in a unjust way. Unjust way. This is why we can see the revolution in a French, and he became a supported, means he supported to that revolution. And we can see this thing in his one of great work. Don't forget, such kind of themes only, such kind of a thing only we will get a questions in competitive exam. So what is the reflection of political freedom and a revolutionary thought in the Shelley's work means, that is the marks, the mask of anarchy. This is one of where we see the political freedom and revolutionary ideas in this work, especially during the French Revolution movement, where he participated in that and shows the how the government is ruling in an unjust way in this work. That is what called radical ideas. There is one more radical thought where we can see atheism. Atheism and criticism. Criticism organized or religion. Religion. This is what the characteristics of his radical thought, that is atheism and criticism organized religion. Means here we can see he openly rejected the traditional religion. traditional religion one, and wrote pamphlets. Wrote pamphlets. That pamphlet's name is, this is also very important, The Necessity. Sorry. The Necessity of Atheism. The Necessity of Atheism. Little more. The work which is that the necessity of atheism, where we can see the radical ideas has been utilized in this work. What is that radical here means? Showing the rejection of traditional organism, traditional whatever the traditional is about the religion, showing the against towards that thing. So we can see this thing here, that atheism, what is that? Atheism means a kind of a nastika. Yes, doubts on religion. Is God really exist in the world? Is the traditional which we are seeing in the religion, are they proved one? Are they real one? Such kind of a doubts. Yes, with wholeheartedly not accepting the things by showing their thoughts on that particular thing. Showing the thoughts is like a radical thoughts. So this is how, hope so you have come to know that Shelley's personality. Yes, what kind of personality? He is nothing but following the rational ideas, radical thoughts in his work. So if a person called Thomas Love Peacock, if he shows the disrespect towards to the poetry means, and he is very devoted towards to the poetry, he gave the proper answer to his work. Let's see what kind of a answer, what kind of a response, how he defends poetry in this work, like defense of poetry. Let's begin. Before that, the introduction. Percy Shelley, A Defense of Poetry, is one of the most important essays of English literary criticism. Yes, if we made the list of literary criticism, Shelley's defense stays also one of a prominent critical work in a literary criticism. Written in 1821 as a passionate reply to his friend, that is Thomas Love Peacock's satirical essay, that is Four Ages of Poetry. Passionate. He's very eager to give the all kinds of answer, all kinds of response, what the Thomas Love Peacock has criticized on poetry in that work, and he did it. And Peacock had argued that poetry, according to Peacock, what he said, poetry was an outdated, old-fashioned one and little use in an age of that the reason little use means most of the people only gave to learn the science, technology, reason. Then who is going to read poetry? This is how he made the question, and he made the fun on that. And in response, Shelley composed this profound, that his philosophical defense of poetry, essential role of human life. Whatever you said, that there is no one to follow the poetry, but this poetry gives the life to the human life. How? Let's shall see one by one. And the next, and the next, though not published until 1840, what is that? 1840, the essay became a manifesto. Manifesto as the romantic belief in the power of imagination. In the power of imagination. Yes, here the manifesto means a kind of a speech. Yes, essay became a manifesto of romantic belief in the power of imagination and emotion over the cold rationalism, or whatever the ideas which was coming from the Thomas Love Peacock, a kind of a made to the Shelley to show his a kind of a speech on the romantic belief. Romantic poets, what they thought, if you want a peaceful life, spend a life in a country life. In that country life, you will feel pleasure, imagination and all. On that reason, you can write a poem. if you have experienced such thing which is turns into form of poetry, if someone is suffering from something, if that person read this poem means it will give, getting my point, it will give a kind of a relief right to him, then how it could tell that it is a useless thing, it is a useless form of literature? Such what question? Okay, so and it Shelley asserts that poetry is not a mere ornament of amusement, yet it is not only, yes, it is not a mere ornament, means poetry is not a, of course it is not a decorative kind of a way, or it is not a entertain the people, more than what, it gives the meaningful truths, meaningful words, that is what is truth, what is emotions, what is insight, what is reflection of life. This is what it gives. And power of over cold, sorry, and but vital creative force that shapes of civilization, civilized morals and even laws, but it gives, it plays the vital creativity force, means, so here it a man shaped by the poetry, poetry includes the civilizations, morals and even laws. So this is how it helps to create, it helps to shape the human, the human which he lived in a civic way, civilization way, moral way, like the law he shows its rules, even poetry also its own rules and laws. So this is what words of Shelley. And his famous declaration that poets are the unacknowledged legislator of the world. See, this is very important line for your any competitive exam, and your exam you should mention this line. If you want to good marks, if you want to high marks, you should, by the putting this statement in your answer sheet, the evaluator will come to know that this fellow has read everything about Shelley, and captures his view that poets, by awakening human sympathy and imagination, ultimately get the progress of society. This is what, see, poets are unacknowledged legislator of the world. That means poet shapes the influence of thoughts, morals, feelings of society. This is what he says. And sorry, but that these are the things is not organized one. It is not set of rules should follow like that. More than it shapes them. Am I right? It is not like rules and regulation are made for everyone. Writing a poetry is a rules or regulation to, means rules or regulation is made for the poet should follow. No, not like that. It is unorganized, unacknowledged legislators of the world, means if you have a thoughts, a feelings and morals on the particular things, on the society, on your personal views, you can explain it in your own way. That creates the a kind of a visuals, a kind of a imagination, a kind of a values, huh? That guides to the human society and that shapes to the human in a humanity way. This is what the poets are, unacknowledged legislators of the world. Fine. And also the poets by awakening human sympathy and imagination. This is how poets can make the awakeness, can make the awakening things to the human sympathy. Everyone's life should be lead in a sympathetic way, in an imagination way, ultimately guide the progress of society. If the people follows these are the things, definitely we will see the growth of society. Then tell me, where is the useless thing of poetry? How could you tell, Mr. Thomas Lowe Peacock? This is how the response from the a defense of poetry. Thus, defense of poetry stands as a brilliant celebration of poetry's enduring spiritual. Is enduring spiritual. Enduring means showing the poetry holds the power and moves to the hearts and improve our character. It enduring spiritual means it holds the power, spirits, and takes to the human world, human being into the what it called like a leading the life in a improve their character. Sorry for that. Means enduring spiritual means poetry holds the power, a kind of a spiritual thought which can improve the human's character. So, and one of the greatest statements of romantic faith in a art. So this is how he put the great statement in his work. Let's begin the background of this poetry. So it is written, it wrote, okay now, he wrote a defense of poetry in 1821 as a direct response to the essay by his friend, that is Thomas Lowe Peacock, titled The Four Ages of Poetry. Definitely it is one of a satirical piece created by this fellow. And Peacock argued that poetry has become often time, I told you. Okay, next, he composed this essay while staying in Italy. During staying in Italy, he has response his critical essay, Thomas Lowe Peacock's critical essay. It was not published during his lifetime, more than after Shelley's death. Her wife, Mary Shelley, am I right? His widow has manuscript was edited and finally published in 1840. Yes, it is written around 1822, published in 1840 by his widow, that is Shelley, Mary Shelley. Sorry, Mary Shelley. Okay, and this is a stands both reply to the Peacock's skepticism as the broader romantic manifesto on spiritual and a moral and civilizing power of poetry. Very nice. Let's begin. What are the 5 arguments? Shelley's defense poetry. Once we read the Shelley's defense of poetry, what are the things he made justification about the words of himself by the words of Thomas Lowe Peacock. Poetry records the highest and the best thoughts of humanity. See, this is how it records what? The highest and the best thoughts of humanity. If I felt a kind of a so much pleasurable thing, so much enjoyable thing from the visiting particular thought, by feeling, those are the things I turn into write as a poetry. It is just like a records, it is just like a collection of humanity. If I visit Taj Mahal, what would be the feeling of mine by watching that view of Taj Mahal? Definitely a kind of a, a kind of a pleasurable moment, a kind of a, lovable moment. Somewhat means I can turn into that, into the form of a poetry. If that poetry is read by someone, that's light. He can feel the things which I felt while writing this work. So this is how it is a record of best, highest and best thoughts of humanity. Those thoughts made to the human take into the humanity. ಅಂದರೆ ಪೊಯಿಟ್ರಿ ಅನ್ನೋದೇಂటి ಒಂದು ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಯಾವುದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮತ್ತು ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಹ್ಯುಮನಿಟಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಪೊಯಿಟ್ರಿ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೆಟಿ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್. ಪೊಯಿಟ್ರಿ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಯುಟಿಲೈಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ಪ್ರೆಟಿ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್. ಯು ಆರ್ ಎ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್, ಯು ಆರ್ ಎ ಸ್ವೀಟ್, ಯು ಆರ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಎ ಮೈ ಲವ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಎ ರೆಡ್. ನೋ, ನಾಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ repository of humanity. It is repository. Yes, repository means it is a collection of which is the best, noble and deepest ideas or a feelings. Deepest ideas or a feeling. Deepest ideas or a feelings and moral truths. It depicts them. It is the collection of best, noble, deepest ideas of a feelings of a humanity's fine thought. That might be feelings, moral or a truth. You won't only find out the pretty words also, but in that pretty words reflection you can also see the best noble thoughts, noble feelings and the moral thoughts and a moral truth. Everything it is included in that poetry. Means it records these are the thing also, not only pretty words. It captures universal emotions, universal as ideals and aspiration that transcended time and place. According to the time and place, we can see the changes of feelings. If I be in a Taj Mahal, in front of Taj Mahal, I can see the different kind of a feeling by visiting that particular place. If I go somewhere that not made me comfortable, kind of a thoughts can be give in that particular one. Like if I stay in a graveyard, what would be the condition of my thoughts? Do I feel pleasure? Do I feel enjoyment? No. Yes, this is how. So means it captures, means by visiting any place. If I visit in a Ooty, Kodaikanal, what would be my thoughts? If I visit any great temple, What would be the my thoughts? My thoughts, of course, definitely in a religious thought. Visiting UT and Kodaikanal, it might be kind of a love, kind of a thoughts or a love towards to the nature. If I visit any monument, so this is how. So it captures the universal emotions. Every emotionals coming from the visiting or being himself in a particular stage, particular condition or a time. ಅದೇನ ನಾವು ಇರುವಂಥ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯ ಒಂದು ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಲ್ ಫೀಲಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ, ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಲ್ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಫಾರ್ ಶೆಲ್ಲಿ portrays the mirror of life. Very nice. What is literature? It is a mirror of life. What is life? It is a mirror of human feeling. Yes, this is how. And not life superficial details, superficial ante kante ವಿಷಯಗಳಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಷನ್. ನೋ, it is the mirror of life. Whatever we felt on that particular moment, we can see that reflection through the form of literature, through the form of poetry. Essential truth, very needable, yes, acceptable one. Essential truths means realities of life. What is reality? About the life, about the love, about the emotions, about the people, about the world. This is what the essential truth, which can be expressed in the form of poetry. How you could tell? Next, example of essay. He says that poetry is the record of the best and happiest moment of the happiest and the best mind. Am I right? That's very nice. It is nothing but the record of the best and happiest moment. Whenever you take the trip to the one particular place, there you felt a kind of a pleasure thing, that can be reflected to the form of poetry. Yes, that would be the happiest and the best mind, means best moment for you. That moment you can share to everyone through the form of writing a poetry. This is what that way of defending the poetry, the words of Thomas Law Peacocks. Okay, fine. Next, though poetry we preserve what is noble. Though poetry we preserve what is noblest in human thoughts. Love, justice, heroism, beauty. Noble, very nice. If we read a poetry, you will find out the noblest in human thought. Sometimes humans may talk about the love, justice, heroism, beauty. Yes, it is what the collection of these are the major things which we can see in a poetry. Yes, it gives a noble thought to the reader. How you could tell it is a useless, it is a waste of time? Mr. Thomas Law Peacock, this is what. Next, why it is important to read a poetry? Without poetry, these high ideals may be lost. And poetry preserves and transmits them to the future generation. Very nice. If someone is hurt, that time we should give him concern to him. That time we should show concern towards him, not to the mathematical way to console him. Am I right? Getting my point? ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಹರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ he felt very relaxed and he felt very relaxed in that moment. Mathematical solution ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ if he is hurt means ಅದೇನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಬಿಡು ನಡಿ ಎದ್ರು ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಗೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ ಅದು ಮಾಡಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನೋ, he wouldn't come out from that grief. Instead that we should spend a time with him for a moment and make him in a very ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಒಂದು ವೇದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನಿಗೆ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದ ನಂತರ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಅವನು ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಲಿಸನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಡನ್ ಬೈ ದ ಪೋಯಿಟ್ರಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ. So if we won't follow, if we won't read the poetry, if we won't read the poetry, we will miss the high ideas. Yes, it will be lost. Okay na? So we'll stop here. Shall see in a next video about the next argument of Shelley's poetry, defense of poetry. Thank you. Bye bye.